Today I'm really excited. We've got a really juicy topic, divine masculine magic, unveiling deck secrets with my dear friend, Levi Smits. In this spirited episode of Ask the Oracle, we welcome Levi, a very gifted artist and deck creator from the Netherlands. Levi shares his passion for the divine masculine in tarot and oracle decks, offering insights into the importance of sacred balance in our spiritual practices. Join us for a light-hearted and fun conversation about deck creation, the creative process, and what makes us tick as deck creators and card readers. Discover the magic behind Levi's amazing work and how it can inspire your very own spiritual journey. Hey, Levi, welcome to Ask the Oracle.
Hi, Suzy. Wow, what an introduction. Dang.
I've even got my sparkles on today, so I thought we'd do, we'll go all out, right?
Loving all the sparkle. Yes.
I'm over the moon and so excited for our soulful banter today. And I know that we talked about doing this a very long time ago. So we planted that seed in very fertile soil, and now it's actually happening, which is really exciting.
I couldn't be
So,
more excited.
so let's dive right in. Can you tell us about yourself, a little bit about yourself and your journey into the world of tarot and oracle decks?
Oh, of course. It's quite an interesting story, actually. So I'm Levi, a man from the Netherlands, but I wasn't always a man. I was also a little boy at one point. And when I was 10, my mom, well, we were at a party, and at this party, there was a tarot card reader slash psychic. And my mom was like, "Hey, no one's going to her. Shall we go?" And I was like, "Ooh, I don't know what this is." And then this lady started turning over gorgeous cards. And that's sort of where I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do at some point in my life. And my mom was like, "Yes." My mom was so psychic. It's so sad she never did anything with it. But my mom said, "Yes, but not right now because I don't think you're ready for it yet," because I was really young. And then she bought me my first pack of tarot cards when I was
Oh,
when
I
I was
love
16.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She gifted it me for Christmas, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's so special. And I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
it tends to run in families, even if, our mothers or our grandmothers don't always do a lot with it necessarily the same way you and I are, but it's often a family trait. And I love that you were introduced to it so early,
Mm-hmm.
which is really magical.
Yeah.
I love that. So, what
Yeah.
inspired you to focus on the divine masculine in your deck creations? I love it, by the way. I think that's what really that was the magnet for me. But yeah, I'd love your insights and your take on, why are you doing that? Yeah.
Very good question. There are multiple reasons, but I'll try to keep it, palatable for the casual listener. Um, well, one of the more important things was, so I got that first deck from my mom when I was 16, and I wasn't really online a lot. I lived in a very tiny village. We didn't have good internet, blah, 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 all of that stuff. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I found out that there were more decks available on the market than just that one that I had. So
Yeah.
sort of started buying some Oracle cards, and I soon found out that most modern decks sort of basically omit men or only have one card with a man on it, and that's very often for the lovers archetype card. So I
Yes,
was like,
interesting.
oh, I'm not in these tools at all. Okay.
Yeah.
And then obviously, well, not obviously, but obviously to me as a gay man, I was always rejected by men in my, upbringing. Not necessarily my dad has been great, but the men in the village that I grew up in, I've always been
Yes.
sort of cast aside, and I've always been surrounded by women who raised me and who shaped me. So I was really coming to terms with what is being a man like to me. So I was hoping to discover that through tarot and oracle cards, but it became a little bit, a little bit of a sour experience when I wasn't seeing myself in the cards. So that's sort of a summary, a little bit about why I started creating decks for everybody, but focused on the divine masculine. Yeah,
They are for everybody, but I just think it's so important that everybody has a representation.
it
Okay.
is. Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, I just love your decks and I love that. That's so great. So, leading on from that, why do you believe the divine masculine presence is important in tarot and oracle decks? Like, I know that you said that often it's the lover's card, often, there's that one token, stereotypical, um, I was going to say bloke, man in the deck, right? So, yeah, I actually think what you're doing is so significant and so important. I think it's terrific, and it's been really well received. Am I right? So, as you said,
It
there's a
is.
whole. We spoke about it before we jumped on, and there's a whole community out there that you don't even realize until you go online. You kind of find your people too. Yeah.
Yeah, you really do. Well, when I did talk briefly about this, but when I did buy a couple of those decks, it would very often talk about in the guidebook, and I see this in a lot of new age spaces, that people are talking about how the divine feminine is rising, which I do feel it is, and it should, but also about how the divine masculine is sick and is broken and it's healing and it needs to be healed, but then we're not really doing any of the healing.
Yeah,
So
that's
we're
right.
only focusing on we're only focusing within the new age space on that divine feminine, which is gorgeous and which is life-giving and which is nurturing and which is sensual and amazing. But I very much believe that it is a sort of yin yang thing, that it's a yin and yang alchemical situation, that
Yes.
we need to carry each other and not cast one aside and focus just on one aspect. And it's
Yeah.
kind of funny seeing that, because in my decks there is all men, but it's sort of to create a counter balance a little bit.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that, because to me it's about that equilibrium. It's about the pendulum. It can't
Yes.
it can't go too far the other way. I mean, often
Yeah.
it does, that's activism, isn't it? That's how we make change. But in
Yeah.
saying that, yeah, I think exactly, it's bringing that balance back in. Yeah.
But you also include lots of masculinity in your decks, and I've always been so interested in why you if I know it's your podcast, but I'm just going to ask the question: what prompted you to put that in your decks? I know there's lots of masculine imagery and text in all of your decks, actually.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Yeah, same thing. It's just really important that everybody has a representation in the deck. Um, and like women of all shapes and sizes, different cultures. Of course, you've got to be very sensitive when you're working with different cultures, but same thing. I just absolutely adore the masculine, and it's so important that we have that sacred balance and that sacred union within the
Yeah.
decks. And um, I'm totally with you. I don't know how you can kind of totally ignore it. Yeah, I mean, I've got two grandsons. I've got an amazing son. I'm married. My brother's gay. I've got so many beautiful gay friends, and I think I should be actually doing a little bit more. So watch this space in regards to even, mixing up the stereotypes and, the lover's card and all of that. So, yeah, but thank you for noticing that. Yeah.
I think you're already doing a great job. And similarly, I have been toying with adding more feminine energy into my deck. So who knows? One day we'll be having this
Okay.
conversation again, and so interesting, right?
Yeah,
how that.
yeah, yeah. No, I love it. I love it. It's so good. Now, your artwork is so multi-dimensional and so multi-layered. And I love that you can almost do all of it and incorporate it. And then you get to write your own words. You see, I love working with artists, but there is that collaboration, there is that kind of there's a lot of kind of co-creation that happens in that space where you get to do. I love that you get to do everything from, creating the art the way you want it created. You have complete creative control. And then you
Mhm.
get to write the magic, you get to write the words. And I know how much work it is with what I do. So
Mhm.
I absolutely applaud the work you do, because you do it from the very start all the way through, right up to
It's so much work,
the
Susie.
self-publishing and the distributing and all of that. And
Yeah.
but the beauty of that is you have complete creative control over that, don't you?
Yeah. Well, and you happen to be with a publisher that releases, I have to be honest, probably the most gorgeous quality decks in the mass market right now. So lucky for you. Right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that's amazing. My first
I do
Oracle deck
adore
was,
I do adore them. Yeah,
yeah,
they're
my first Oracle deck was a Blue
mm.
Angel deck. So it's
Oh,
they
was
have a
it?
yeah, they have a very special place in my heart. Yeah, definitely.
What deck was
Um,
it?
it was won by Lucy Cavendish, the Oracle of Shadows and Light. Uh,
Beautiful.
yeah, I love her work as well.
Lucy's amazing.
Yeah,
She's the fairy queen, the mermaid, and she does
she
walk
is.
her talk. I've met Lucy a few times, and she's very genuine about what she does.
Yeah,
And of course, we're going to love her because we love all that nature-based spirituality and
yeah,
all of that. Yeah, and the
yes,
light and the dark, the night and the
yes.
day. The winter and the summer. Not the good or the
Equilibrium
bad.
again. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you think you
But
could walk us through, sorry, do you
oh,
think you could walk us through your creative process when designing? Because I know you're designing a new deck, and I
yes, yeah,
absolutely love the name of it.
yes.
Um,
Oh, this is so funny. Yeah, I could totally walk you through it because yeah, as I am currently, well, the designing is done, but I'm currently working on a new deck, which the Kickstarter, which is a crowdfunding platform to gain funds to really be able to release the deck as a self-published author, will start in September. So maybe listeners can find it. It's called the Carry Me Home Oracle, and it's this time around it's a photo collage style deck. So that's way different
which is
from
very
my.
different for you, but you've done it so beautifully, Levi. Yeah.
Thanks. I was really nervous about it, but it's been so fun to play with the images, and um there's sort of a rawness that comes from working with photo material and trying to turn that into a magical sort of landscape. um but normally when I design a deck, usually there's an idea and it's an outline first. So I'm all about layers, structures, layers upon layers upon layers. I love deep diving into subjects. So it'll usually be an outline with the structure of the deck or something like that. Mm, and then usually I'll start.
Oh, I love a
I'll just,
structure too. I start that way.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I start with like
I
a
do.
map, like a structure. It's actually a
Yeah,
spreadsheet, which doesn't sound very magical, but it is magical because to me it's a
yeah.
system and it's just, yeah.
Oracles, the best oracles have systems behind them, I think.
Yes, like
I
the
think.
tarot. Yeah.
Yeah. I love systems, and so that's what I usually do. And then I sort of start working on the art, just very free flow, trying some things, trying some techniques. Um, and then and then it starts to take shape, and sometimes halfway along the line you figure out, you get this epiphany, you're like, no, it should be the other way around. So sometimes it can take up to a year for it to be
I
exactly the way it
know.
should be.
There's so much work in it,
Yeah,
but you get lost in the creative euphoria.
it is.
I mean, this is to me is a heart job. I love it. I love researching. I love creating. I love communicating with the divinities. I just love the
Yeah,
whole process, and I
me
see that
too.
in your work too. Yeah,
It's so much fun and it's so magical, and um i um I love how it's I'm very grounded. So I sometimes I see, and to each their own. I see people channeling light language, and I see people talking light language, and I see, and sometimes I'm up with the star seeds as well, and that's completely fine. But I'm more of a grounded type. But I do really feel like when I'm doing my tarot and oracle work, as in creating, I do really feel divinely guided a little bit. Yeah, because it's such an intense process, and there has to be something more than just me making this stuff up. At
yeah.
least that's what I
It's
like to
like it
think.
takes on a life of its own, and it's kind of that ever evolving journey of like, I can imagine with the art, and I've seen it with um, the most amazing artists that I've worked with. I love watching their creative process unfold because it's, yeah, I give them a brief, but
Hmm.
often it takes on a life of its own, and it's better for it. It's
Yeah,
better for it.
I love your I forgot her name just now, but I do have your deck very close by, so I can, because it's a favorite, so I can
Yeah.
always have it near my side. Layla. I love her artwork. It's so magical, and I can only imagine your reaction as to seeing that artwork come in slowly and being like, wow.
I know. She's just incredible.
Yeah.
She's very spiritual herself, and she's very connected to the earth the same way you and I are. We're very grounded.
Hmm.
Um, and she's extremely talented. Like, it's like, and we often have this, it sounds very woo-woo, but it's true. We often have a telepathic connection because she'll be creating an artwork, and then I'll be seeing it, and I'll go, oh, I bet you put this in the artwork. I bet you there's a stunning black raven or something. And she'll go, oh, yeah, there's a black raven. So it's just, I find her artwork, like, it has a lot of depth, and
Yeah.
she's got a Norse background, so her heritage is Finnish, um, and she lives on a property. It's a remote property. It's coastal,
Wow.
and she's got chickens, and she's just got, she's another one that just sort of walks the talk as well.
Yeah.
And I just so love that you've mentioned her because she's
Yeah. It's
um,
she's
very easy
really
to work
special.
with. Yeah. Yeah.
She sounds like a dream collaborator, and well, but I also really, 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 I love all your decks, obviously, but the Oracle of Delphi was also a one where I was like, ooh, this is a also more of a photo collage
Yeah. So
art
you and
style.
I, we're in
Yeah, yeah,
sync, right?
yeah. That was so weird
Was I
because
ever going to do one of those? Well, I didn't think so. But
yeah.
Briley's amazing, and it's just been a magical process and really quite different,
Yeah.
um, unique in its. They're like children, aren't they? You love
Yeah.
them all equally. They're just very different, right? Yeah.
And honestly, speaking of children, the postpartum when a deck is sent off to for you, your publisher, for me to the printers, that is a really difficult time for me in the process, where I'm literally mourning the loss of that creative process bit. Would love to just dwell in that creative process forever, but you know, you can't.
Oh, I'm the same way. That's so interesting. I mean, with the Star Temple Oracle deck, I need for you to know that I was very close to self-publishing that. Like
Yeah.
I actually had it at the printer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
Um,
you were already working with Layla before,
that's it.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know. Wow.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, and I had a completed deck. It had a different cover, but it was a completed deck. And and that's when I had a couple of them approach me. Blue Angel was almost always my first choice because I really resonate with their spirituality. So it made sense for me to go with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I know what you do, and it's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, what challenges do you face during the creation of your amazing decks, and how do you overcome them? Do you think? Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. For me, it's when we look at the very boring process, as in the printing and stuff, and the
Okay.
it's been pretty smooth for me, honestly. However, in the
You must
actual
be IT savvy too, are you, Levi?
yeah.
You
Yeah,
must be
I actually
so IT savvy. For me, I had to hire a graphic designer, I had to have the virtual assistant, and I just
uh,
look at you and I go, you're a clever man because I knew you must have been good at the IT stuff as well.
my
Yeah.
my day job, because I have a muggle job as well, which I love. I'm a librarian, and one of my focuses is actually on media literacy. So yeah, I am
Oh, how appropriate's that?
yeah,
I knew it.
I'm
Yeah.
a so
Having that
that makes
background.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's a fabulous job. I've never had a job that I loved, because I used to be an English teacher actually. But I sort of wanted to do something different, and I approached this library nearby. It's a gorgeous library. It almost won prettiest building of the world award one year, so
I
it's
just love that you
absolutely
work in a library. Because I just visualize you working in, the Akashic records or something, or
Oh, it looks like what I would imagine the Akashic records to look like, and I will send
yes.
you a couple of pictures of the building after we're
Oh,
done.
I'd love to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
Uh,
love buildings. My son's an architect, and I just
oh, really?
absolutely love buildings. Like, I'm that geek that watches, grand design and all that stuff. I love it. I love it.
I love it. I love
And I
it
love
too.
old buildings. And yeah, it's really, really great. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's been mostly smooth sailing for me, except sometimes you create a deck and you're like halfway through. I created a complete tarot deck, which is 78 images. Did not write the book for it yet, so and at the end, I thought I even had a test copy printed, so it was completely ready to go. And I thought, this doesn't feel like me. So,
Interesting.
yeah. And
So
so,
are you
so that,
more oracle than tarot? Well,
uh,
obviously. Are you?
uh,
Or is that an
uh,
assumption?
no, it's not. I love both. However, through the years, I very much found out that, at least to me, and I know everyone's practice is different, that tarot is tarot. To me, it doesn't really matter that much which deck I pick up, unless it's something really special. Once again, for the tarot decks that Blue Angel releases do have their very own twist.
Yes.
It's very often with cool keywords on the cards or really interesting concepts, but a regular new tarot deck is just another tarot deck. Um, So what I have come to realize for me is that for me the variety is more interesting in Oracle, but I do love both.
Yeah, yeah. I think, with the Oracle, you can explore um, other kind of pathways that
Yeah.
perhaps you couldn't, because I do admire the tarot. I respect the tarot, you know. And I'm with you though. Like, yeah, it's kind of like creating another tarot deck. And Blue Angel have created some beautiful tarot decks. You're quite right.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, with the Oracle, it's sort of to me more of an instinctive, intuitive process, and you can kind of take it on, a completely different pathway if you want to. Where if I was
Yes.
designing a tarot deck, I would feel the need to be loyal to the tarot, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. It's really difficult to break that structure open and do something actually new with it. And some people have done it. And and a lot of people create gorgeous cards, but I don't need to have that many more of them. During the pandemic, I think we were all a little bit crazy, and I started collecting a
I
ton.
did the same thing.
But it was, I don't know, it's sort of, you always sort of go back to the favorites.
I always go back to the favorites. I mean, I did kind of like back to back readings for many years, and I'd always have the same three decks. And I'd have Tony Carmine Salerno's Gaia deck, which I loved back then, and
Yeah.
that would be my love deck. So if someone said to me, I'm here about a relationship, or for some unknown reason, that was my love deck. And I know it's not designed for that, but it kind of felt that way to me. So,
Yeah.
what are your favorite decks? You've already pointed out a few. I have to tell you that one of my favorite decks is the brother to brother deck. I
I,
absolutely love this deck. I even love the box because the box it's got this amazing suede kind of velvet feel to it.
yes.
Yes, it's just beautiful quality, and it's a very clever deck.
How cool is that, right?
So cool. And the cards, because I'm very touchy-feely with the deck. So I like
Uh-huh.
really good quality paper. And
Hmm.
I love it to feel kind of really sensual and really kind of, and this deck definitely does. And I
Yeah,
often use this deck with my Fairy Temple Oracle deck because they seem to go really beautifully together. And before we
they
jumped on
do.
today, I pulled the Pan Awaken card,
Oh,
and I just love
yes.
Pan, and it's so appropriate. And I just want to read you some of your words. So
Yeah.
this is the deity Pan. The key word is awaken. Pan is the quintessential god of spring. He is associated with fertility, trickster energy, adventures, mischief, and folly, all the while wielding his flute. Pan stands for interesting escapades, and Pan is here to tell you to wake up from your slumber and spruce things up a little. I love that. And
Yes.
you've got reflection words. What part of me needs to be woken up? What aspects of my life deserve some whimsy, some magic? What adventures am I going? What adventures am I going on today? The artwork is absolutely gorgeous, and yeah, I love this deck. Spring, new beginnings, refreshing adventures and hope. So, very appropriate for our
Yeah.
chat, right?
I love that you pulled that card. And yeah, this is I mean, yeah, let's this is definitely something that I have been experiencing a lot lately as well, that it is sort of time for all of us to wake up. There's lots of stuff happening in the world that is, at this point in time, maybe people will be listening to this in 10 years time and think, what is he talking about? But just look up
Yeah, just look up.
2024. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you need to really make most of every day. I feel like, even when you
Oh, I
feel a
love
little bit
that. Yeah.
down, go out in nature if you can. I'm so blessed to live near one of the biggest nature reserves in the Netherlands. I can just walk down the street and I enter a massive forest, and I can just wander there for hours. And I do that well, not hours every day, but I go in every
How
day.
wonderful. I did
Yeah.
read that you did that, and I thought, oh my goodness, no wonder we get on, because I've got 3.5 acres of bush here. And I love going into the bush. I love going to the beach here. Definitely
Australia
nature.
is
Yeah.
so gorgeous, right? I really want to go, but my husband already went right before we met. So he's like, "Well, I'm not quite ready for such a. It's a pretty big undertaking travel-wise for us to go to
It'd be
Australia.
huge. Yeah.
It's a long flight with a massive jet lag, so you're not just gonna go for a week, you know?
No.
No,
Oh, if you
but
come, make sure you let me know.
yes, I will, obviously, because we need to have a
Obviously.
cup of tea. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So, can you share an experience or story from your journey as a deck creator? Like, if you had some kind of magical connection or experience or story that really stands out for you?
Oh yes, I do. When I there's this deck that I made. It's the first deck I ever made, but you can't get it anymore because it doesn't honestly looks pretty bad, but it was still a really meaningful experience. It's actually no, it's actually, when I come to think of it, sort of an early iteration of the brother to brother oracle. Let's just say that it was square as well. And that's the first time that I thought, okay, I'm not seeing what I want to see in the oracle tarot space, so I'm going to make my own, and I don't care how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
You're a visionary, Levi. You know that, right? You're a pioneer, and
Thanks.
you are leaving a love legacy behind. What you're doing is important work, right?
I hope so. I
Yeah,
really
I
hope
know
so.
so. I know so, right?
But
Yeah,
the thing was, that I was so insecure about my artistry, because I used to draw every day as a kid. But then when I was like when I turned 14, 15, I sort of stopped because it was not cool anymore, and you only needed to do things that were cool, like, smoking and drinking and all those
yeah,
dumb things. I've done it all.
yeah.
And it wasn't until 2019, I think, that I started drawing again, and I was really insecure and it looked really bad. And I remember drawing a human figure the first time and being so pleased with the outcome. And that's sort of when I knew that you can do whatever you want if you want it hard enough, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously you need to practice,
Oh, exactly.
but you can manifest anything you want.
Oh, absolutely. I think sometimes we're, I don't know, frightened of our own magnificence or something. Like, we quite often talk ourselves out of the good stuff, but I truly believe that too. If you really want something, yeah, there might be some practice involved, but absolutely you can make that happen
And
without a doubt. Yeah.
I know this sounds kind of mundane, but I remember seeing that first fully realized man that I drew on paper and really liking it. And it felt, and it didn't just feel, it was complete magic, because that gave me the confidence to continue and evolve and evolve. So there's so much magic in the everyday, Susie. Like, I just love that about life.
I love that about you. And you're absolutely right. There's so much magic, like even today I had two beautiful black cockatoos fly over. And I've even got my grandsons now that will say things like, they won't just say, oh, look at the moon, shoo shoo. They call me shoo shoo. Look at the moon, shoo shoo. Noah will go, oh, look, I think it's a waxing moon. Yeah. So that, they see the magic. It's just so beautiful.
Gorgeous.
I love that so much. So, what advice would you give to aspiring deck creators and artists?
Just do it. A lot of people, I've noticed lately, a lot of, giving feedback is fine, but still, when it's one of your own creations, it can sometimes hurt a little bit. Um, but I've
That
been
hurts a
noticing
lot. It's like when they pick on your child, right?
a little bit, but
But
still,
yeah,
like, once you put something out, it's gonna get critiqued.
Yes,
But I've noticed that the critiques have become a bit harsh and mean spirited sometimes. Not just about me. I'm completely fine, but also when I read comments underneath reviews of other people's decks, and and you're never gonna get everything 100% right. And
no. And
like
art
you
isn't
were
supposed to be perfect,
no,
you
like
know?
you were saying earlier, you put a lot of effort into representation in your decks, and I'm pretty sure that people, even with you, think you're still not doing enough. So um, we're
Exactly.
all we're all doing our best, but don't let that hold you back from trying to create a deck. And even if you have zero artistic capability and you want to create a deck, there are literally websites where you can order one copy of a deck printed. It's really affordable, and you can literally drag and drop photos from your phone onto that site, and it will
Wow.
have it printed. So you can
Yeah.
even take gorgeous pictures of things that inspire you, or even memories, and you can use those pictures to divine. It
Yes.
doesn't always have to be um super duper professional. It can be just that, and you'll be
Yeah.
fine.
It's really interesting, because the Star Temple Oracle deck, um, that was really, that did so well. And on Amazon, I remember there was like all these really terrific reviews, and I was scrolling through them. And then I got to this one review that was really like, I was like, oh no. And isn't it funny how you remember that one review?
Yes.
But later, when I really thought about it, I thought, actually, that's actually pretty good feedback.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
take that
yeah.
on board, like,
Of
but at
course.
the time it was like,
It always hurts,
yeah,
I think it is important for people to know that we do. I think most of us don't deliberately try hurting people when creating a deck. you know
no,
that's
no.
never
And
the
it was
goal.
something that I try to be sensitive with the cultural stuff. And
Mhm.
there was something that I feel I could have done a little bit better. And I actually did change
Mhm.
one of the artworks in that deck with the
Oh, you
second
did.
publication,
Oh,
um,
I
to
did not
be
know.
more sensitive.
Are you comfortable telling me what that is? Because I'd be really curious
Do you
about that.
remember? Do you like the Star Temple Oracle deck with Merope, and she had that beautiful big, almost like Native American, big kind of feathery.
Yes, I have a first edition Star Temple Oracle in front of me, so
It
let's
was the
just
Merope card, yeah.
this one.
No, not that one. You know the one with the feathers. She's sort of
Yeah,
got almost like a big kind of
obviously
feather crown hat thing. That
that
one.
one. Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that in the new deck, there's less of the feathers and more of like almost like light coming out,
Ooh,
if that makes
interesting.
sense.
I
Yeah.
did not know.
Because it did offend some of that beautiful culture. So I thought,
Yeah,
no, that's not happening again.
yeah,
So I did change the artwork on that. But my intention at the time was pure intention. But I think it's okay for us to learn and grow and
exactly.
go. You do the best you can at the time, but it's okay to go. Yeah, you know what? You got a point. I'm
I
going to look
remember
into
a
changing that.
really I remember a really old mermaid oracle that is still published that way in Dutch, because I think the Dutch publisher bought the rights to that older edition. But there's this really old mermaid oracle where there used to be an African American goddess of the sea depicted as a white mermaid on one of the cards.
Right. Very remember
And
that.
I have the latest edition, and I saw that it was changed. So I was like, oh wow,
Oh,
that's
that's
actually,
good.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love
It was
that.
a gorgeous new illustration. So I mean, obviously we do, you do learn. And I got a lot of feedback on there being only white men in my tarot deck. And I was like, I should have put something about that in the guidebook, because I tried drawing people from other ethnicities, especially
Can
when
be
you
quite
haven't
challenging. Yeah.
It's difficult for me because you kind of draw what you know, and I started
Yes,
drawing black guys, for example, and they sort of came out looking like caricatures, and I was like, oh no, that can't be. I can't put
yes,
that in the deck, you
yeah,
know? So
yeah,
sometimes it's a pick your battles kind of thing as well, a little bit.
exactly. Yeah,
So
yeah, I love
it's
that.
difficult, but don't let that deter you as a
No,
creator.
don't. Yeah,
Create from the heart and create with what you can, and try to learn new techniques, or you know, if you're a writer and you don't have an artist yet, but you do kind of want to sort of use the deck and see if it works, maybe just write the keywords and the titles and the concepts on little flashcards and use those, you know.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I don't know. Like it's wonderful, if it's, a bestseller or whatever. But actually, if it's like, even if you use it for your own personal use, or there's, one person out there that, gets some really good insights and guidance and support from it, yeah, it's just wonderful. I cannot wait to get Carry Me Home. I'm going to actually jump on to that today because I did see an email come through. And I'm definitely going to make sure that I get my Carry Me Home deck. I can't wait. So, how
Shall
can
I
our listeners connect with you and learn
um
more about your work?
I'm actually on Instagram as
Yeah.
masculine underscore intuition underscore readings. So you can find me there. I have on my Instagram a link tree that takes you to all the places that I am, and that takes you to all the decks that I'm offering at the moment. And also, depending on when this podcast launches, to the Kickstarter page. If you have missed it, just shoot me a message and we'll see what we can do. And yeah, that's basically where I am to be found. I don't have a website yet, but yeah, just find me on Instagram.
You probably don't need to because you've got such a good presence on socials. So,
Thanks.
yeah, yeah. So, um, yeah, so it's been so fun talking to you today. I definitely want to get you back because there's lots of other really juicy topics and questions that we didn't quite get to today. Um, but I find your process, your creative process, and your completed works amazing. So that was sort of the main focus of today, and I feel like we've talked about that. But I'm looking forward to other wonderful chats with you, Levi. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Susie. Can I please do one more thing for you
Yes.
before
I'd love
we
that.
sign off? I would love to pull for you and the listeners of the podcast a card from the Carry Me Home Oracle, if that's okay.
Oh, will you?
Yeah.
Yay.
Some of these cards will have questions on them rather than answers, so that's interesting as well.
Yes. Yes, I
And
love that.
I got this gorgeous card for all of you, which I will describe because this is an audio medium, obviously, but it's a gorgeous card with two men sitting in front of a waterfall, sort of a star in the middle of them, and the card is called Cosmic Flow. And the question on the
Oh, that is
card,
so appropriate. I love
yes,
that. I
right?
love
And the
that
question,
art.
do you like it? I
I
love it
love the
too.
art. I love the way they're standing.
Yeah. And the question on the card is, when was the last time your stars aligned? So this is, to me, very much what we were talking about earlier, sort of creating and manifesting what you want yourself. And, you know, you can wait for the stars to align, or you can align them yourself, I think. So,
That is so empowering. Just
yeah,
asking the question
yeah,
is, yeah, that is so powerful. I love the way you've
yeah.
done that. That's actually really unique. Well done. Yeah.
Thank you very
And thank you for
much.
sharing. That art is stunning and the symbology is really beautiful. I love the star and the colors and everything.
Thank you.
And the question is very clever because it's,
Something to
it's
think
like
about.
reclaiming your power. And it's
Yes.
like, um, it's not just about you know, predictive, intuitive messages. It's about
No.
like, you know, you have that power to align
Yeah.
your own stars, right?
Everyone does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Beautiful. Thank you, my love. You're amazing. I love and adore you.
Same to you.
Okay. Love it. Thank you so much, Levi.
You too, Susie.
Bye for now.